Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm John.
And I'm Lily, and today we're going to get a little personal.
Yeah, maybe a little uncomfortable too, in a good way.
Okay, so before we start, John, I have a question for you. A real one, not a small talk question.
Uh oh, go for it.
Have you ever done something completely normal? Something you do every day? And then someone from another country looked at you like you were absolutely crazy?
Oh wow. Yes. Actually, yes. 100% yes.
Tell me.
Okay, so I'm from the UK, right? And the first time I visited my friend's family in Japan, I walked into the house with my shoes on, and everyone just froze. Complete silence. I thought something terrible had happened,
Oh no.
and my friend just whispered, John, shoes. And I looked down and I wanted to disappear into the floor.
That is such a perfect example of what we're talking about today. And actually, that happened to me too. I'm from China originally. And when I first moved to Italy, I poured my own drink at dinner. Like, I just reached for the bottle and served myself.
And let me guess, that was also a problem?
The whole table went quiet. My host looked at me like I had broken some kind of ancient law.
Because in Italy, you pour for others first, never yourself.
Exactly. And I had no idea. I wasn't being rude, I just didn't know. And that's exactly the point of today's episode.
Cultural differences, the things that seem totally obvious to you, but are completely invisible to someone else.
So let's actually define what we mean. When we say cultural differences, we're talking about the different norms, NORMS, that exist in different societies.
Right? And a norm is basically an unwritten rule, something that most people in a society agree on, even if nobody ever said it out loud.
Like taking off your shoes at the door. Nobody hands you a rule book when you arrive in Japan. You're just expected to know.
And that's what makes it so tricky, right? These are implicit rules, implicit, meaning they're not written down, not explained. They're just assumed.
Implicit is such an important word here. Something implicit is understood without being said directly. The opposite is explicit, which means clearly stated.
So in many cultures, it's implicit that you wait for the oldest person at the table to start eating before you do. Nobody says it. You just know.
Unless you're me at an Italian dinner table, apparently.
You're a legend, Lily. Okay, so I want to introduce a concept that I think is really useful for understanding cultural differences. Have you heard of high context and low context cultures?
I have, and it blew my mind when I first learned about it.
So this idea comes from an anthropologist. That's a scientist who studies human societies, called Edward Hall. He said that cultures communicate very differently.
In a high context culture, a lot of meaning is communicated without words, through body language, silence, tone, the relationship between people. Japan, China, many Arab countries. These are often described as high context.
And in a low context culture like the US, Germany, Australia, the Netherlands, people tend to say exactly what they mean, directly, clearly. They don't expect you to read between the lines.
Read between the lines? That's a great phrase. It means to understand something that is not directly said.
Exactly. So in a high context culture, when someone says, that's interesting, they might actually mean, I completely disagree with you, but I'm too polite to say so.
Welcome to my entire childhood.
Whereas in a low context culture, interesting just means interesting.
This has caused me so many misunderstandings. In my first year in England, I had a British colleague who kept saying not bad about my work. And I thought, Oh no, I'm doing badly. I need to improve.
But not bad in British English is actually quite a compliment.
I know that now. But at the time, I was genuinely stressed.
The British are famous, or maybe infamous, right, for this kind of understatement. That's another great vocabulary word. Understatement, when you describe something as much less than it really is.
Like calling a hurricane a bit of wind.
Exactly. Classic British understatement.
Let's talk about personal space because this is one that I feel so strongly about.
Oh, yes, the invisible bubble.
Every culture has a different idea of how much physical space you should keep between yourself and another person. In some cultures, like in parts of Latin America or the Middle East, standing close to someone shows warmth and connection.
But for a British person, or a Scandinavian, that same distance might feel like an invasion. You know that word, right? An invasion. When something or someone enters a space where they're not welcome,
Your personal space gets invaded.
and you just want to back away slowly.
At every international conference I've ever attended, you can literally watch people negotiating space without saying a word. One person steps forward, the other steps back.
A little cultural dance.
Let's talk about time because this is huge.
Oh, punctuality. The great divider.
In Germany, Switzerland, Japan, being on time is not just polite, it's almost a moral value. Being late is seen as disrespectful, even rude.
But in many other cultures, parts of Africa, Latin America, Southern Europe, time is much more flexible. If a party starts at 8 p.m., arriving at 9:30 is completely normal.
And here's the key word, perception. Perception. How you perceive time, never how you see it and think about it, is deeply cultural.
In some cultures, time is linear, like a straight line. Every minute counts. You move forward, you don't waste it.
In others, time is more circular or relational. What matters is the person in front of you, not the clock on the wall.
Neither is wrong, they're just different.
And food. We can't forget food.
Oh, food is such a minefield of cultural rules.
A minefield. That's a great expression. Literally, a minefield is a dangerous area full of hidden explosives. But we use it to mean a situation full of hidden problems and risks.
Talking about religion or politics at a dinner party in England? Total minefield.
In some cultures, burping after a meal is a compliment to the chef. In others, it's the most embarrassing thing you can do.
In some cultures, you must finish everything on your plate. To leave food is wasteful and rude. In others, leaving a little food shows you've had enough, that your host gave you plenty.
And don't even get me started on chopsticks versus forks versus hands.
Hands in many parts of India, Ethiopia, Morocco. Eating with your hands is completely normal and beautiful. But in other cultures, it seems informal or even impolite.
Context is everything.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this actually matter? Why should an English learner care about cultural differences?
Great question. And I think there are two big reasons.
Go on.
First, practical. If you're traveling, working internationally, or taking an Ielts or TOEFL exam, you will encounter these topics. Ielts essays and speaking tests. Love asking about cultural topics. Should countries preserve their traditions? How does globalization affect culture? These are real exam questions.
And knowing the vocabulary and the ideas makes you so much more confident when you face those questions.
Second, and I think this is more important, empathy. When you understand why people from other cultures behave differently, you stop judging them. And you stop feeling judged yourself.
That's beautifully said. Empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another person is really at the heart of all cross-cultural communication.
I didn't know about Italian dinner etiquette, but once someone explained it to me, I didn't feel embarrassed anymore. I felt curious.
And curiosity is the best tool you can have when you're learning a language or navigating a new culture.
Well said, John.
All right, before we go, let's do our vocabulary review. These are all the key words and expressions from today's episode.
Let's go through them one by one.
Number 1, norm. An unwritten rule or standard of behavior that is considered normal in a particular society. Example, in Japan, removing your shoes at the door is a social norm.
Number 2, implicit. Something that is understood or suggested without being directly stated. Example, there was an implicit understanding that we should wait for the elders to eat first. The opposite is explicit, clearly and directly stated.
Number 3, high context or low context culture. High context cultures rely on unspoken communication, relationships, and context. Low context cultures rely on direct, clear, verbal communication. Example, Japan is often considered a high context culture, while Germany is typically low context.
Number 4, read between the lines. To understand a hidden or indirect meaning that is not clearly stated. Example, when she said that's fine, I had to read between the lines. She wasn't happy at all.
Number 5, understatement. Describing something as much less significant than it really is. Example, saying the exam was a bit tricky when it was incredibly difficult is a typical British understatement.
Number 6, invasion. The act of entering a space, area, or situation where you are not welcome. Example, standing too close to someone can feel like an invasion of their personal space.
Number 7, perception. The way you see, understand, or think about something. Example, our perception of time is deeply influenced by our cultural background.
Number 8, minefield. A situation that is full of hidden dangers, difficulties, or risks. Example, discussing salary expectations in a job interview can be a real minefield.
Number 9, punctuality. The habit of being on time or arriving exactly when expected. Example, punctuality is considered extremely important in German business culture.
And number 10, empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. Example, learning about other cultures builds empathy and reduces misunderstanding.
And that's a wrap for episode 5.
We hope you enjoyed it. And more importantly, we hope you learned something useful today. Whether you're preparing for Ielts, TOEFL, or just want to feel more confident when you travel or work internationally.
If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments what's the most surprising cultural difference you have ever experienced.
We'd love to hear your stories. See you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone.